She's telling all of my secrets. I do drink cocktails now and again. Who else drinks cocktails now and again? Because Elizabeth has some cocktails for you when she speaks after I do today. She does. She does. I know if somebody just had a really bad experience with Fireball. Yeah. So be careful how much Fireball you drink. That's right. That's right. So I am excited to talk to you all about AI for professional development. So I love today when they were talking at the panel, someone said AI is my friend because they go into AI and they ask it how to maybe better say something. How many of you have used AI to just say something a little better? Fantastic. So I got a lot of AI users in here. How many have not used AI? There's a few people that are, okay, so share with me why aren't you using AI? Is it just a fear? Yeah.
Haven't had the time at work, but there you go. Sorry. I haven't really had the time at work to play with it, but I'm old school, and so it kind of frightens me a little bit. So,
Yep.
I still do things the old-fashioned way.
All right. And then we got one other one that raised their hand that.
Oh, that's fine.
You're fine. You don't want to share why you're not using AI. Fear is our biggest failure. If we are not using AI, then I'm going to share something with you. I'm going to pass through my agenda. Is if we're not using AI, then we're not trying to find other solutions to our problems. But also, if we're not using AI, we are going to lose to other people that do know how to use AI, right? So our goal is to understand AI, but the number one person that you can use AI for is yourself. And that's where it's really so to your advantage to start understanding AI of not only to say things differently, but understanding different personality styles, understanding and putting a plan together for your own personal growth is what is the advantage of AI. I sat there the other day and I went through as consultants and owning our own business, and I'm sure Laura has probably done the same thing because I know she's an AI user, but I'll go in there and I'll say, okay, I want to help leaders do X, Y, and Z. What kind of things in my business do I need to do? What tools, what books can I read in order to give this information and better information to my clients that I'm teaching, training, coaching, whatever. I've even had coaching sessions where I have these attorneys that have been voluntold that they're going through a coaching program. So they're very difficult to work with and they're very arrogant. And so I will type in there working with how many are familiar with DISC? Anybody familiar with DISC styles? So different assessments. So I'll go in there and I'll say dealing with a C style, the attorney that thinks he knows everything and doesn't want to change and says coaching is a waste of time. What are some things that I can say to him? What are some questions that I can ask? Like I get stumped now and again too with coaching. As much as I've done it, I get stumped with what to ask people. So my professional development comes in because I can be on virtual with them and I type it into the computer and it comes up with all kinds of questions and it gets the dialogue going. So it doesn't stifle me in the process. Because I can get stifled when they're saying, well, I got voluntold that I have to coach. I don't even know what coaching's about. I don't need any of this. Oh, I'm great with my team. They know exactly what to expect from me. And I'm thinking everybody has a coach that knows that they need to be better. I mean, even the best tennis players have a coach. So I say all this about coaching because AI is your number one coach. And some of them are free to use AI. If you want a paid version, $24.99 a month is a pretty cheap coach. So let's get into this. Only you can make your goals happen. AI cannot implement. So if we say back in the world of computers, when computers first came out, there's some of you probably don't know that experience when the internet first hit the world, but I do. And so let me share with you, I was so excited. I couldn't figure out where this information was coming from, but it was showing up on my computer. And same with AI, right? Where is all this information coming from? At the end of the day, I use AI more now than I use Google because it gives me my information really quick and fast and to the point, and I can keep asking it questions and it keeps giving me answers. It'll even give you answers when you don't want them. Like for instance, the other day, I was having issues with one of my friends, and so I typed up a message Wasn't very nice. And I probably shouldn't have typed up the message at all. Well, Claude let me know. I probably needed to take some time to think about responding to my friend before they actually gave me kind of a clarifying response. They said, "Would you still like us to clarify your response?" And I said, "Yes." And it said, "We really think you should think about this." I took screenshots of it for another training that I'm doing at another time. So sometimes, like, I'm like, where were you back in my 20s when I was going to the bars and texting my boyfriends when I shouldn't have been? Like, where were you then? Right? We can only implement what we need to implement. So it's not cheating, it's giving us a head start to say, these are the things that we can do to professionally develop ourselves, and gives us this opportunity to see things in a whole new light and a new perspective in a new world. It can tell us our faults and we can argue with it, and it can give us answers back of why we're probably wrong or why we need to see things differently. And we're not arguing with the person. I was like, gosh, this is amazing, right? So only you can implement. So it's not taking anything away from you. It's pulling all this information into one spot. So what can AI do for you? There's a lot of things on this slide. And I kind of put a lot of things on the slide on purpose so that you can see all the great things, but I'm just going to cover a few things. Is one, do you want to grow in a certain area in your life? Like maybe you want better communication. So you say, I use Claude because I think Claude is a little more mature than ChatGPT. However, I heard that ChatGPT has gotten a little better lately and is a little more mature. So I don't know. Right now I'm using Claude. There's other ones out there that people say are great. It's whatever your preference is. So I asked Claude, I want to be better at communication. Claude's probably going to ask me, can you give me more specifics? I'm very direct. People tell me I'm intimidating. They tell me that I'm this and they tell me that I'm that. So Claude will come back with all kinds of answers of different things I can do. I can also go a level deeper and I could say, Claude, what books should I read to be a better communicator? Sometimes you can go even deeper and you can say, are there people in my area? Sometimes it'll pull information, sometimes it won't. However, I do want to say this. If you ask Claude for statistics on something or give me statistics on how many people communicate well, I would ask it where you get your statistics from, and it'll be pretty honest with you and say, well, I just came up with these. I had a guy that was working for the National Labor Relations Board, and he was an attorney, and he used ChatGPT to write a brief. And the brief quoted a case that did not exist, and he never went back and checked his work. So you might want to make sure that if you're getting information like that, that you always go back and check your work. Elizabeth here is probably going to talk more in depth about some of this today, about the safety things around it and the ethical side of it. But the point is, what can AI do for you? Emotional intelligence. Like it can help us with our emotional intelligence. If we just had a conversation with somebody and we feel like the conversation went well, but the person left and they weren't happy about it, we can put that into ChatGPT or we can put it into AI and say, here's what the conversation was. Here are some of the things that I said. I swear I put together the nicest, sweetest, most communicative emails ever. And ChatGPT comes back, AI comes back every time and says, I had put this in a softer tone for you and created more of a methodical way of going through your communication. Your communication style can be somewhat direct. And I'm like, I worked hours on this. Well, now we don't have to because we can just put it into AI and AI will clean it up for us. And so it helps with our emotional intelligence because you know what? When it comes back with the answer and says, you're a little too direct, we softened this up. I'm going back and reading my message and saying, where can I soften my tone? Because we have blind spots that we don't realize that we have. And AI can tell us. And you know what? We don't get so defensive with AI as it is if it were our boss, our husband, our brother, our sister, a friend that were to tell us this. We're like, oh, AI is telling us probably right. Right. So that we don't have this mechanism of being upset about the feedback that we're getting. Time management. You are all in a position of time management, and time is so important. There is new access, and I didn't go into training today of different apps that you all could use in administrative administrative professionals, but I will share with you, I did note the other day there's a new app in Google that will actually go through your emails and pull out like some key points in your emails. It was pretty nifty. It was pretty savvy. I'm waiting for it to give me my to-do list from my email and my to-do list for my calendar, but it's not there yet. That's what AI said the other day when I asked it. So decision making, maybe we have a really big decision that we need to make. And maybe it's in our personal life. Maybe it's at work. Maybe we're trying to decide, is our boss really a jerk or is this just me? We can put all kinds of information. We can just start typing like it's our journal and say, please give me feedback on what you think is happening here. Now, you may not always agree with its feedback, but the thing is if you don't agree with it, you could type it in and say, I'm not sure I quite agree. I want to tweak a couple things that I said. I actually was really nice. My boss was actually really mean when he said his tone of voice was this, this, and this. And maybe it starts to give you a different perspective. There's so many different things that you can do with it. Health and wellness. How can I be healthier? How can I build health and wellness into my daily work routine? What are some creative things that I can do? Are there exercises I can do at my desk? And then there's continuous learning and adaptation. So this is giving you an opportunity to continue to learn something new. Because again, if you don't learn AI, they will find somebody that knows how to use AI. You know why? Because productivity is key, especially in your jobs, right? So if you're not being productive and other people are being more productive because they're using AI and you're still typing out, a policy, when you could go into AI and say, hey, type me up a policy, at least it gets you started. You really do there's always going to be a human behind AI. And so when we get fearful about using AI because it's new, it's different, there was a time that we were fearful of using computers because they were new and they were different. We were afraid to get on the internet because we're like, what is this? We don't know what this is. This is the new internet. This is the new era of technology that is so amazing. And there's such a great tool for us. So we can use it for self-coaching. So what is self-coaching? Self-coaching is being curious about yourself. We can't grow ourselves until we know ourselves. We cannot grow ourselves until we know ourselves. If you are in touch with and connected with who you are, how you react to things, how you come across to other people, if you're not connected to your own personal growth, then self-coaching is your first option. Your next option is to hire a coach to help you. Your other option is to, if you have a good boss, get buy-in from your boss to have them help start coaching you. But self-coaching is that opportunity to ask ourselves those big questions. So what was your name over here? Deanne. I'm kind of picking on you, Deanne, but Deanne is not a fan of AI. She's like, it scares me a little bit. Self-coaching would be asking yourself, what is my fear? What's the worst thing that could possibly happen? What is it that I need to know about this? Do I need to know about this? This is the great thing is you could put this into AI, your coach, your AI coach. You could say, what are some self-coaching questions that I need to ask myself on why I am fearful of X, Y, and Z? So if you are challenged in an area of your life or you are struggling in some area of your life, what are some things that you can do to start moving forward and taking baby steps? And you could go in and you could ask AI. You could say, AI, you know what? AI really scares me. Please provide me some self-coaching questions that will help me to work through why this is fearful to me, why I don't really understand how AI works, and it'll start spitting out all kinds of information. And then you can continue to ask questions. If you don't have the answers, you continue to ask it questions. So how to talk to your AI coach. So this is the one thing that I've really noticed as I've been teaching AI classes is people will go in there and they'll ask it one question. what I have learned as I use it for learning and development, as a tool for learning and development, not only to build my business, I've used it to build my strategic plan for my business. I used it to build a strategic plan for my personal self-development. And as I learned that, I realized I had to keep asking questions, and I would read what AI would write, and then I would say, please explain this a little bit more, or give me some examples of this, because maybe I wasn't quite getting what it was saying, or it wasn't really clarifying. One of the things I used it for is, when you're in business, they tell you to have an elevator pitch. What's your 2 to 3 sentences that explains what you do? And so it would spit out a bunch of answers. We're still working on that, AI and I. We're still working on that 2 to 3 sentence elevator pitch. But part of it, that's my problem, because I really like to do a lot of different things. And so I like to just put all of that in my 2 to 3 sentences. And I'm like, I don't know how AI is going to explain that I really like to, do house decor and design. And then I also like to do yard work. And then, whatever you need me to do, I'm likely to come over and do it for you. Like, I got to narrow that down, right? I can't do 100 different things. So AI will give me my 2 to 3, and they'll give me like 5 or 6 different options. And then I'll say, but you don't really say what I do. And then it comes back and says, you're right. I really didn't say what you do. I'm going to add that you're a coach. Okay, great. We're adding that we're a coach. So you have to be very specific. Be very specific of what you're asking for, and keep asking specific questions until you get the specific answers that you're looking for. And then you want to ask for actionable advice. What can I do because of X, Y, and Z in this situation? So one of the things that I used this for to help with a client recently was I took their performance evaluation. So we did a 360 performance evaluation, and I put that into AI, and I said, AI, please give me a summary. Give me the keywords that were used over and over again. And please give me some actionable advice for this person. And I ended up generating this huge report for this person that gave them all kinds of personal insights about themselves, different ways that they could take action on the behaviors that were showing up in their evaluation. So how many of you get performance evaluations? So if you get a performance evaluation, you can put that into AI, and your boss might not be very good at giving you a performance evaluation, but AI will be. So you can put it into AI, and you could have it analyze it and say, what steps can I take to make changes or improve in the areas that I need to improve upon? It'll probably give you better advice than your boss did, guaranteed. Request resources. Again, if you're going to use AI for any type of cases or like references to resources, ask for the references to the resources, but also ask it to tell you if it doesn't have any. Like, just be honest with me. Don't throw things out there that don't exist. And then focus on challenges. So bring up specific challenges that you are facing. What are some things that you are facing? Does anybody want to share a challenge that they're facing right now? No? Does no one have a challenge? I mean, goodness gracious. Okay. Oh, imposters. Yes. So what was your name? George. Okay. George has Joseph, John. Okay. Joseph, you're trying to work through imposter syndrome. We've all had it at some point in our life. Go in there and say, I am dealing with imposter syndrome because of this, this, and this. This is what I think, and this is what people tell me. The other thing you could do with that is you could take, if you've done any type of assessments, you can, if you have paid versions of AI, you can upload those assessments into your coach and say, please share with me based on my personality style and the fact that I've let you know that I have imposter syndrome. How do I work out these issues based on my personality style? So if you've done DISC and you have a DISC report, if you've done Strength Finders before, Strength Finders is a good one. If you've done the MTBI, the Myers-Briggs, you can take those, you can upload them and say, based on my style, share with me how I overcome imposter syndrome. What things do I need to do? What positive affirmations can I give myself? Anybody? Okay, we have one other hand here.
Yeah, I was going to say, writing feedback on coworkers. It's something we do twice a year.
Yep.
And I had one person that I put in. The person's kind of a difficult person. And me, is it? Not this.
Huh?
But I tried to put down the positive things about him and said, can you please write this into a constructive criticism and positive feedback for this person? So I just did a list, bullets, boom, 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 and it came back. It was fabulous. So yeah, I struggle with it every year. Now I
So she's doing performance evaluations and she's using it for some of the language that she puts in the evaluation. So you could copy and paste whatever section is and say you are giving that person a 4 and you want to explain to them why they're getting a 4. And maybe you even want to give it some ideas on what the 4 is, why you didn't give them a 5. Like, I didn't give them a 5 because of X, Y, and Z. And they got a 2 because of X, Y, and Z. Then AI can generate a really good description of maybe what they need to improve upon and how to improve, and then give them bullet points. So she got bullet points from using AI. So I was sharing with Elizabeth before we got started that when ChatGPT first came out and the system broke down because everybody was going into it and trying to use it, and this was about 2.5 years ago, my husband comes home around the same time that I'm discovering ChatGPT, right? But I get kicked out because there's too many people on it. And then I'm like, I better pay for it, because if you pay for it, you're guaranteed to get on it. So then I start paying for it. So he comes home and he's doing performance evaluations, and and he's struggling, right? And my background is in HR. So of course I have a few words of how these things should go. And so I said, I have the best resource for you. And my husband is not tech savvy whatsoever. He absolutely hates technology. It's dumb. When he first got a job, like 8 or 9 years ago, he didn't know how to use a computer. So he was coming home and I was having to help him every night check his emails from work so he didn't get fired from his job. And I was like, you got to do something. And then his daughter and I would like take turns on who was going to help him. So anyway, I said, I have this amazing tool for you. So I show him, and it took one time. And he's like, how do I download that app? And so fast forward 1.5 years later, his work comes and says, hey, we have a training that everybody's going to today. And he shows up, it's an AI training. He's like, I've been using this app for 1.5 years. What are you guys doing? Of course, it was a shock, right? Because everybody knows he doesn't like technology. It is your friend. It is your friend when you do performance evaluations, because one, it will take out all of those underlying tones that we may have, because communication, remember, is a lot about tone, and that tone sometimes comes out in our writing as well. And it helps us to improve. That's why I say it is our personal development tool, because it'll help us change our tone as we start to recognize different words that maybe we're using that maybe we need to change. So focus on your challenge, explore multiple perspectives. And this is important, right? Because we don't just want one perspective from AI. Because if we do, then we're getting the same message over and over again. We have to have different ideas and different messages. So make sure that you ask it different questions, different ways. Don't try to get it to just answer it the way that you want it, so that you're the winner of the conversation. Ask it so that it's challenging you for personal development. It's challenging you to be better than you already are. Because our goal with leadership is to gain influence. Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. If we can start to use AI as our coach to gain that influence and gain influence in conversations, then we start to lead people differently. We all have leaders in organizations that are not leaders, that should be using AI probably more often before they speak, right? They're in manager positions and they think that they're leaders. They're positional leaders. They're not leaders. We all know people in leadership, especially you all probably know people that are like, oh, my boss is no leader at all, but he's a manager, right? Maybe introduce him to AI or her to AI personal development. I took a class, pretty amazing. Okay, inquire about mindset. Discuss how you can shift your mindset. What are little things that you can do? You can even ask it for a plan. You could say, give me a 90-day plan to change my mindset about imposter syndrome. It'll give you something to do every single day for the next 90 days. It might give you a weekly, it might give you monthly. If you want daily, you ask it for something daily. Ask for reflection prompts, things to think about. Keep it iterative. So engage in ongoing conversations. This sounds crazy. You're talking to your computers. Anybody feel like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. I'm going to be talking to my computer. I'm telling you, therapists are going to lose their jobs over AI. They should. I mean, so where to start? Current situation. Maybe I want to get away from, you all should be using it for all those administrative tasks, right? Writing letters, helping you to improve how your letter sounds, putting documents together, helping you put documents together. I just did a 75-page report for this program that I'm working on, this big project that we're working on, and probably 75% of it was done through AI. And it was done through AI with my Fathom notes from every virtual meeting that we had. It was done by different reports that we got and information that we got. And I combined all that together to come up with the report. And then we went through and edited and made some changes to it. There's a team of 3 of us that were working on it. But what is a current situation that you have right now that you need to work through? Maybe you have a project. I know they had a project management class, but did she talk about using it for AI or using AI for project management? Yes, put your project into AI and ask it to help you line out what the project is. So this big project that I just shared with you is I started with what the idea was about the project that we're working on, and it gave me an entire to-do list. And so start with the current situation. If you're working out some kind of difficulty in the workplace, maybe you have somebody that's just not very nice, a difficult person that you work with. Everybody have a difficult person. And you're her difficult person, just FYI. We only have two people that have difficult people in here. One of them's sitting right next to her friend. That's it. You know, the only 2 people, no one has what? Anybody else? No one has difficult people? Okay, yeah. Okay, I'm seeing a few more hands. Like, if you don't have difficult people, then I want to know where you're working and if they're hiring right now, because I don't want to call on them because they don't need any of my classes. If there's no difficult people, they're doing a good job. So current situation about you, something that you want to influence, something that you want to change. Maybe there's something, maybe the employee experience in your organization. How many of you do admin and HR? A few. Okay, so on the HR side of things, maybe you're trying to improve the employee experience and there's trust issues in your organization. So ask us some questions. What are some trust, and share with it. We have trust issues in our organization. Here's some things that are happening. How, in my position, can I start making some changes? Maybe I don't have a lot of authority. Maybe my boss is a ding dong. I don't know, like anything. Put those things out there so chat or AI can start to formulate a response for you. And then collect the data. Like I said, use your, if there's things that you have, documents that you have about your personality style, about your performance, any of those things, then start to plug those in and ask it to get to know you a little bit. If you have a paid version, you can actually go in there and tell it about yourself so that the same stuff it'll always know that about you when it's spitting out information. What do people tell you? One of the things that I've always heard throughout my life is you're intimidating. You are, you're so direct. You always look so serious. Those are the things that I would put in there. Is people say I'm intimidating.
Hello.
Yeah, very direct.
Hello, testing.
Hello?
Mic 1, 2, 3. Hello. Test.
That was AI talking to
Hello?
us.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I don't know where you're at.
Hello.
That's okay. That scared me. So I don't know where I was, but oh yeah, what do people tell you? So I could go into AI. I mean, I've already done all this work before AI existed, so I already know what I need to do, but I also know my personality style. But if you don't know what your personality style is on DISC, that's another thing that you can do is you can go in and say, people always say I'm really direct and I'm really intimidating and that I'm kind of quiet in situations, or I say too much, or maybe I talk too much, or I talk in circles, or people don't understand what I'm saying, or I'm not giving good direction, or whatever. What is it that people are telling you that you need to work on or that you see? And then where are you personally challenged? I use this in personal situations as well as client situations. If I have a challenging client, like I had a client call me the other day and said, you know what, I know you worked with our HR department on strategy, but it's not. I think there's a miscommunication on what we actually wanted from your services. And so I'm like, this is weird. So, before I talk to her, I'll probably put in Chat GPT or AI and just say, I keep saying Chat GPT because that's what everybody knows, right? Put into AI, here's what happened. Here's where I think we may be off. What are some questions? How can I react to this? Because I know that I can be intimidating. I don't intentionally, I'm not that way intentionally, but I know her personality style. So I can also put in there, I'm a D style on a DISC assessment. She's probably an SC style. How do I interact so that it's best for her style and communication? And that continues to help me grow and develop in how I react to people. It helps me know how I need to interact with people better. So how AI can assess. So it can do a SWOT analysis for you. So you could say, I'm an admin professional and do a SWOT analysis on my job over the next 4 to 5 years. I guarantee AI is on there. That if you don't know AI, that would be a threat. It would be an opportunity. Ask for goals to set based on your SWOT. So based on your SWOT is like, I need to learn AI. What are some things that I can do to use AI in my job today? Identify key areas to focus on. We don't want to focus on too many things at one time. So ask AI, where do I start? What do I do first? Help plan and strategize. Help me plan and strategize how I will implement AI into my job every single day, how I will implement AI into my professional growth and development. What are some tools that AI can give me to help in my professional development? Maybe, you don't have the best writing skills, or maybe you're not as creative as you would like to be. Is ask AI, how can I be more creative? Where do I need to be more creative in my job? It'll create an action plan. All you need to do is feed it the information. You feed it information and say, my action plan needs to be done in 90 days. My annual evaluation is coming up in 6 months, and I really need to know what I need to do before my 6-month evaluation. Here's the things that came up in my evaluation. Ask for self-coaching questions. Again, being able to ask those self-coaching questions are going to be important because it's going to give you a slew of questions to ask yourself. And I'm going to make sure we're on time here. I'm sure Laura's in the back. She's gonna tell me. And then if I go over, I probably owe her a drink or something like that. So she's told you all that we're drinking buddies. Ask for outcomes. What do the outcomes look like? So I have a couple of things on here just to show you kind of how it works when it comes to self-development. And we'll see with the clicker how fast I can stop these slides as they're going through. And we'll see if this works. Oh gosh, it's nothing worse when your video doesn't work, right? So this was supposed to be a video that goes through, but here's 100 AI uses for administrative professionals. I just put it in there for this training. And this obviously only shows you about 28. Is there a way for because this is a video? Does it? Oh, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, so this is going to show you the list of 100 things. I was very specific, right? Give me 100 things that an HR or a administrative professional could use AI for? And here's your list. And I tried to go slow as I was doing this so you guys could all kind of see. It does diagrams, it does pictures, it does, I mean, it could give you a list of resources, statistics, agreements. Like I've done agreements on AI before. You still want to send them to an attorney, but it saves your time with an attorney sometimes because you can put the agreement together. But I will share with you that I've done agreements on there, and most of the agreements that have come back are almost exactly like an agreement I've already seen. And so they're pretty accurate. Generating contract renewal reminders, depending on what kind of apps you plug into your system, could give you some of that. Generating cross-functional project plans, all kinds of things. So these are just things that you all could use in your day-to-day functions, not just for personal growth. And then we'll go to the next one. And this is a video too. And this one is actually a professional development one. So developing strategic communication styles. So my question was, please provide how to work on my strategic skills. And then here's a whole list that I came up with. What are some books that I should be reading to work on these skills? You know what's really great about this is, do you remember Cliff Notes when we're in? Okay, well, here's your Cliff Notes. Like any kid can go on this and not read a book now and be like, type me up a book report. So this is just kind of showing you how it works. Is I asked it some more questions, and so it'll go back. Claude does this. ChatGPT doesn't. It'll give you a whole new one. But if I add questions to it, then it will add it into the plan that it gave me. So I added this, please build me a strategic development plan, after it already gave me everything. And so then it rebuilt what it did in my slides or in what it spit out. But see how it gives you all your resources, any training, support network. It's giving me monthly how to approach. And you can, and then you can copy and paste this into a document, and then you can edit it the way that you feel it works for your style or for your communication or whatever the needs are that you have. If you get stuck somewhere, then you could go back to AI and ask it, say, I'm getting stuck on inclusion in strategic planning meetings. How can I get unstuck in that area? See, it's still spitting out information because I keep asking it questions. Create pre-meeting rituals. Maybe it creates your agenda for you every meeting. You can just put in there and say, now we're getting into what you can use it for as professional, administrative professionals. But you could go in there and say, here's an agenda. Here's the things on the agenda. Please map out my agenda. But see, and the list goes on and on and on and on. So there's so many things that you can do with it. I'm working with a boss that is angry all the time. See, here's my question. I am not sure how to talk to him and get my point across. Anyone deal with that? I need to discuss, and we'll just let it finish. Taking a vacation, and he is not open to people taking vacation. And here's our answer. This is challenging situation. See, it even gives you the outline of how to have the conversation. And so it's still going to be your words, but at least it gives you a kind of a perspective and kind of dials in what maybe to say to this person to get them thinking differently or to get them to buy into what you're saying. You're giving it information that they're difficult. The boss doesn't like when you go on vacation. Now we're going into, I have a difficult coworker that does not give information on time. It always makes, I had somebody in my class a couple of weeks ago that asked me this question, and she had never used AI, and she was a Gen Xer. And I was like, what? You haven't used AI? So she went home that night. I said, your homework tonight is you're going to go into AI and you're going to ask about this difficult person. So she came back the next day and she said, oh my gosh, I went through down the AI rabbit hole for 3 hours. Now that I know how to use it, it is amazing. And so that was one of her examples. See, and I'll even ask you, would you like me to help you prepare any specific aspects of this conversation? Yes, tell me how to be nice because I'm really angry about this situation, or whatever it may be. Or you can even ask it, what kind of books do you read? There's a book called, that's coming out on April 15th by Ryan Leake. It's called How to Work with Difficult People. And it's amazing. But I'm saying that because if there's books out there, you could ask it, what kind of tips? I'm a certified John Maxwell coach, trainer, speaker. And so I use a lot of John Maxwell material. Well, I have access to all kinds of stuff online under the John Maxwell team, but I'll go into chat or AI sometimes because maybe one of his books, like 5 Levels of Leadership, isn't in there. And so I will go in and say, please give me some tips from one of John Maxwell's books about communication. So you can be very specific. You can say, give me information about Ryan Leake's book, How to Work with Difficult People. I don't know if that'll be out there yet because his book's not out yet. But you can even put those types of things in and it'll outline what's in those books. It's amazing. So with all that being said, any questions? What are some questions that you have? What are some things that you want to know? When we're talking about security, that's going to be Elizabeth after this. She's going to talk about security, when to use it, not to use it, those types of things. I don't know that stuff. I just use it. I'm at home. I'm not using it in a business per se at this point because I have my own business and I'm not putting any crazy information in there. But what questions do you all have?
What are your favorite tools?
What are my favorite tools?
Yeah, your favorite AI tools.
Probably Claude and Grammarly. Does anybody else use Grammarly in here? Yeah, so Grammarly has the AI aspect. Part of it because Grammarly sometimes gives you just a different way of saying it where it's already kicked it out of AI and maybe I want to just kind of not have everything copy and pasted from Claude. Those are my biggest tools that I use is Grammarly and Claude. And again, I use Claude because it feels like it's a little more mature. But people might have a different idea around that. I think they're all generally the same. Go ahead. CLAUDE. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it just got, and I think ChatGPT did too, but they just linked up to the internet where they pull stuff off the internet too. So they're pretty.
So I got a new computer and it says it's got,
I have a new computer and it says it's got Copilot on there.
Yep.
So is that my AI?
Yep.
So what is Claude? How do I get to Claude?
So Claude is on the internet, but Copilot, as you're typing along, will probably give you an option to select different ways of saying or rewording something. Like if you want to rewrite it, so you can highlight the paragraph in Copilot. Are you going to talk about Copilot? Yeah, because I don't use Copilot, but I think it does the same thing as Claude. You can also put in your question. It's probably not going to go. Is it going to go in as a depth as like
It's Microsoft's built-in
Yeah.
AI, so it's integrated with all of your Microsoft
Yeah.
Outlook. It's built into your messaging. It's built into everything, and you can use it kind of like an AI search engine. The PowerPoint part is very cool. You can have it create your own PowerPoints for you. If you just tell it the ideas, it'll generate like a 40-page PowerPoint. Very cool.
There's another one called Gamma that does that I just tried. That was a little crazy. And then there's another one called Crystal for those that are in HR, or if you do any hiring. Crystal is an AI feature that it's an app that you can put in Renette Etzler and it'll actually go to like my LinkedIn page and tell you what my style is based on my LinkedIn page, which is a little creepy. It was right on target. It called me an ID versus a DI. Well, I'm a DI on the DISC assessment and it said I was an ID, but I'm guessing that's because, you know, I have to show energy and enthusiasm behind my LinkedIn page. So my I probably came out before my D did. But the fact that it got my D, I'm like, gosh, how can I get away from like people, you know, everything, even a machine telling me how direct I am. Okay, I'm a direct. I understand this. So, but that's a really cool feature. It's called Crystal. And then Gamma, I went in and tested that out the other day. The other thing that is really would be really, and this is getting into what you can do for professional administrative professionals, which I didn't really want to get on this tangent, but I will take PDF reports and upload them and get a summary of that PDF for an executive summary. And like I also will do, I use Fathom for any virtual meetings that I have and notes, and I'll take those notes and I'll upload them. Sometimes I have audio and I don't have, you know, video. And so I'll take my audio and I upload it into the system, or I'll upload it into a transcribe. So it'll transcribe my notes. And then I'll upload that into AI to get either an agenda from the next meeting or a to-do list. I'm on a couple of boards, so that helps with some of the boards because it'll give me a to-do list. I know if you pay for the upgraded version of Fathom, that gives you a to-do list as well. But those, you know, uploading things into there can really save you a lot of time and energy too. Is, you know, what pieces am I missing? Like I do employee handbooks. And so sometimes I'll put it, I have clients that will be like, yeah, it's a little dry. Do you think we can fluff this up a little bit? And so I will upload that into AI and say, please make this a little more fun and exciting for a tech company, but keep my legal language in it. And it'll keep my legal language in it and it'll make it more upbeat. Sometimes it's a little off and I have to, you know, maybe a little too upbeat, but it allows me to give different handbooks and not all handbooks are the same. Anyone else? Any questions? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, George.
I'm coming,
Joseph.
George. I'm coming, George.
George, Joseph, John.
So you mentioned kind of in passing, but I am curious. You said this is going to replace therapists. And I was talking to Elizabeth right before this, and she's like, I created my own trainer. And so I'm just curious about your thoughts around just like previously in automation, you know, with cars, for example, replacing people. Just what are your thoughts about that? It feels frankly kind of threatening.
AI is everywhere. The thing is that there is a difference between human connection and AI. And so AI is only going to be able to take you so far. AI can't hold you accountable. A therapist, a coach, a counselor can hold you accountable.
Yet.
Yes, very true. I mean, AI is not going to kick you in the booty.
Yet. No, I appreciate it. I'm just curious what your
Yeah,
thoughts were about.
I would say, I mean, I always say that there's always going to be, there always is people behind AI. Like it's up to you to take action. If you're not taking action and you're getting all these questions and you're not really thinking them through, you might need a person to help you facilitate that conversation. You could pull all your coaching questions and say, this is what AI told me, and these are all the same questions you're asking me. I answered all these questions, but I'm still struggling. So where do we go to the next level, right? And hopefully you have a good enough coach that they can outsmart AI. I mean, good luck. But it's a first opportunity, especially if you don't want to spend the money to go to a counselor. It's an opportunity for your professional development and growth. I mean, it's such a good tool for that, especially if you want to get from point A, say you're in an entry-level position and you want to promote up to being the executive assistant for the CEO. What are some things that I need to do in this organization? You could put you're in a healthcare organization. You could put what things do I need to know about the healthcare organization in order to get myself to the CEO, you know, as an executive director to the CEO. So there's a lot of questions that you could ask it to help you build out your strategic plan for your life. Because if you don't plan your life intentionally and your professional growth, other people will plan it for you. That's a whole nother training. I'd love to teach you about that. But You have to be in charge and be intentional about your professional growth, because if you're not, then someone else is going to tell you, like the attorneys that I told you that have been voluntold to be in a coaching program. Well, why do you think you were voluntold? Right? Because you're not growing and developing, and you're probably causing issues, and you probably need this class, but you think that you don't. There's a reason people are voluntold to do things, right? Any other questions? I still got a few minutes. Okay. Oh, you got 3.
Wait,
Crystal, go for
wait,
it.
I'm coming. Hold
wait for the
on.
microphone.
Okay, now I got to triage which one's most important. I guess the one that is just piquing my curiosity is your personal opinion. What do you see people doing over and over the old school way that they could be saving the most time if they were using AI?
Oh gosh. There's so many. I think
3 that come to mind.
yeah, documents. I think creating documents, kind of like I talked about that 75-page report that I did, and 75% of that was done through AI. And the 2 guys that I was working on it with were very old school, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to put this through AI, and they're like, yeah, we don't like that. We're not going to. And I'm like, well, that's what I'm doing. And so it cut down my time by half while they're typing all of their, okay, type all your stuff up. So then I was able to take that report recently because we had to make some changes to it. And then we also need to do an executive summary. And I said, I'm just going to plug it into AI and do an executive summary that way. It came up with all the same information that I needed. It's like we're still creating these documents and these big, huge reports that we could probably combine information into AI, and it can give us a lot of that information and upload. You can upload diagrams and all that kind of stuff, and it'll spit stuff out for you. So I would say that. And I would also say, typing emails, like we sit there for how many hours have we spent on trying to figure out the perfect email to send to somebody? And let me tell you, AI will just tell you it's still not perfect, but how many hours that you spent on that when you could really just plug into AI and say, I need to send an email out to all staff that is very encouraging, letting them know about this change. These are the things that they need to know. You don't even have to be precise. You just start throwing stuff in there and it organizes it for you. The other thing I would say is that would be super useful is organizing time and managing time. Like, here's the things that I need to get. Here's the things that are probably most important to my boss. These are the most important to me. This is the most important to my organization. Give me a schedule on how to get all this done in one day. So I think time management is a big one because we can spend 5 minutes at telling it what we need to do, and it's going to give us probably something better than we would even think of ourselves. And if you're using the right tools, like if you're doing newsletters and you're doing those types of things, is we're spending a lot of time in this creative space, which is enjoyable to some of us, but some of us it's not. And like Elizabeth was saying, you can plug into Copilot or Gamma or an AI system that does PowerPoint presentations. And you can literally, I put in the other day, I said, please create a PowerPoint presentation on the 5 levels of leadership by John Maxwell. And it gave me 30 slides in 5 minutes or less. Like, it was crazy. So I think a lot of those tasks that we're doing can be sped up, and we could be focusing more time. This is what I say. Our time should be focused more on strategic initiatives and transformation in our organizations, and 20% of our time should be spent on transactional. And if we can move to using AI more often for our professional growth, for the growth of our organization, for tools in our organization, got to do a checklist, put it in AI. It'll create a checklist for you. You might have to clean it up a little bit, but we are let's move from being 80% transactional and 20% transformational to 20% transactional and 80% transformational. We have to move in this world to transformational or we get left behind. If we stay too much in transactional, then we're going to get lost in the transformation that other organizations are doing far faster than we are because they're using AI. What was your other question?
Well, I want to be fair and open it up. If there's
Anybody else have any other questions? She has 3 questions. Yeah. they're
Okay,
probably good
so
ones.
I went to high school in the 2000s, and the only F I ever got was in a college writing class where I used Cliff Notes. And so that ingrained in my brain, you use these
Ah.
tools, that's cheating, you fail. I have 3 teenage kids who are being told this is cheating to use this tool. And yet in the professional world, we're being told use this tool or you're going to get left behind.
Right.
I'm just throwing that out in the universe for whatever,
I know.
whatever
Yeah,
anybody wants to say about that.
That's a great dilemma.
We want this on the record.
One of my good friends is on a school board, and she said she went to a conference recently where they talked about how with AI in education, they would be graded on their prompts for AI.
Oh.
So like the prompt, like how you're asking like the specific questions that you were talking about, like what are the prompts that you're creating the documents?
So the prompts, and that raises a really good point, is that when you're looking at it for anything that you're doing, but most importantly, if you're looking at it for personal development, the prompts are super important. Like you have to be honest with what you're saying, and the prompts, like you have to continue to prompt it sometimes and give it more information, because it may give you an answer, but then you're like, wait, I don't think I gave it all the information that it needs. So then you add more information into it. So sometimes you have to keep adding information until you get the ultimate document or information that you want. Sometimes you have to piecemeal it together, but continue to ask it questions, and the prompts are key. That's what I'm learning more and more about AI as the years have gone, is that I see a lot of people asking it like simple questions. No, you got to ask that thing hard questions and keep digging and digging and digging. So don't accept the first answer. Keep asking it more prompts. Prompts are key. Uh-huh.
Oh, no. Nope. Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Absolutely. So I had somebody ask me this in one of the HR classes, and they said, how do we know if someone used AI for their resume? And I said, huh? Oh, the font. Yeah, that's silly if they didn't change their font. Like, yeah, that's their bad. But I said they were doing that anyway. We were just copy and pasting from the internet before. So who really cares? She got up and left my class, so she didn't like my answer. But I was like, I mean, whatever. But it's true. That's what they're using these days. I actually have somebody that said that they're using it during their interview process where they're actually talking. So they're answering, AI is answering the question and making it look like their mouth is moving. So yeah. And so I've had a couple of people tell me that that's happened to them. I'm like, I mean, that's brave. That's all I'm saying. I mean, if they got to do that to get an interview and you find out that they're doing that, and it wouldn't be a question whether they would not hired or not. Oh, go ahead.
You mentioned you use your AI with a lot of your personality. What about for me? I use AI personally and professionally.
Uh-huh.
Do you use 2 different logins? Because I feel like I'm a total different person at work and then I am at home, and I don't want that to.
Yeah. You should ask it. Are you really a different person between inside of work and outside? No, I don't. I use the same one for both. Probably, and it's probably a benefit because it knows I don't know that I'm any different though between one than the other. Like, what are you using it for personally versus things at work?
I don't know, just analyzing, just even personal conversations versus professional conversations,
Okay.
or even just,
But the core of who you are, yeah. The core of who you are and your personality is probably generally going to ask and respond in the same way. We are a little bit different at home than we are at work, but the core of who you are and your personality is generally going to be the same thing. So I don't know, it would make that much of a difference. Unless you're like Heckle and Jack.
I guess I'm really analyzed, and so I just want to make sure,
I'm guessing I'm guessing you're an analytical style. Yes.
Any more questions? Because we're at time, but this is great convo. So if you want to seep it over, we could do a couple more questions.
Thank you, everybody. Any other questions? Thank you, everybody, for your time, and enjoy the rest of the conference. I'm going to listen to Elizabeth because I want to hear what she has to say, but so stick around if you want more AI.
Round of applause for Renee.
Legal
Yes.
stuff.
Elizabeth's next. Please use the QR code to do your evaluations. I have some on the table. If you're more the in writing kind, please leave your eval on the table. I'll pick it up in a bit. And thank you. We'll see you if you're coming back to the session at 3:30.
I have a little handout here if you want this. It just has some ideas on it for you, some business cards. I don't have one for everybody, but